I reckon I can do these like a pro.
It'll be a beauty of an install. You'll be jealous.
Ham, rocket, cheddar. I've still got it.
The glow. The joys of working in the rain.
Wow. Hello dear viewers and welcome back to Artisan Electrics. Today we're doing a follow-up video from a few months ago. You might remember this property where we're at today. We did a massive solar installation here. It was a two-part video with Sam from Oval Renewables and his team. And we're back today doing the battery storage. So it's going to be really interesting. I hope that you will enjoy this little extra add-on to the whole solar system because it's going to make the customer's house much more efficient. And if you've got any questions about battery storage or anything like that, you can leave them all down in the comments. But before we get into it, we really appreciate it if you just smash a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and let's get into the video. So this is the wall where we installed the solar inverter and the new consumer unit. We've got the MyEnergi Zappi charging point down here for the car. This is where the battery's going, right Sam?
Yeah, so this is literally, this is the sort of space I dream about having for a battery. So yeah, it's perfect. So we installed this header trunk in that we ran all the way over here so that we could just come out the bottom of this with all the cables for the battery, and the new Sonnen battery 10s are all back entry for the cables, so that means it's a really nice neat install. So we can just come out of here with maybe a little stab of trunk until we get to behind where the battery is, and then our cables just come behind and through some grommets. But yeah, so this is where the battery's going. It means everything's in one place, the supply's coming from that consumer unit, the meter's going in there. Yeah, it'll be a beauty of an install.
Nice. Should we get cracking?
Yeah, let's do it.
These are the batteries, proper heavy. Are these a two-man lift, these modules, Sam?
Yeah. Pricing crisis, and this pricing lift is just gone. We're averaging about at least 6 inquiries a day for solar battery EV, EV battery.
Because of all the
electricity prices. Now, I was speaking to one lady, she said that her price had gone from 13p. I can't remember who said, I think it was Avro or something like that. It'd gone from 13p to 37p, something like that. Unreal.
With gas prices going up, like 4% of the UK's electricity comes from DRAX, which is a huge gas turbine. Still using gas for so much of our normal electricity.
It's a massive wake-up call, and it's difficult because, in my view, I mean, I might be slightly wrong on this, but because we haven't committed completely to go one way or the other, we're in this like weird limbo state where we don't really want to give up gas and some of the other types of ways that we generate our power, but then we don't want to fully commit to renewables. So we've got this stage where if we have a gas shortage, the renewables aren't there enough to take over, and so it's a bit like, well, you need to commit to actually make a difference. So it's maybe a bit of a wake-up call, maybe something we actually needed as a bit of a kick up the backside to get going. Literally a couple of days into this fuel crisis where everyone was panic buying diesel and petrol and everything, we'd actually ordered a couple of weeks before my first EV. I was still in the situation of needing fuel for the vans and for the guys getting to work and stuff, but we'd picked our electric vehicle up and kind of driving around thinking, this is the change. EVs are the change, and it was just so exciting.
Brilliant. Yeah, we've got the electric transporter now.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not on the road yet. It's like getting racked out and stuff as we speak.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks we'll actually have it on the road, and that's going to be really interesting.
Okay, so in this box here, we've got what's called the wall plate. This is a change from the Eco 9s. It used to be where the full frame you had to bolt that to the wall in one piece that had the inverter in it and everything, and it was quite heavy and quite tricky. Whereas this wall plate now is just a metal plate, you put the feet onto it, you hold it to the wall, you screw it, and it's actually even got some adjustments so that if your wall is going backwards or forwards or is a bit skew width, you can actually change it so that you have a properly level back bracket to mount the power unit, which is this top box here, which is the inverter, and where all our AC and the DC connections to the batteries go. And then underneath that, we've got the two 5.5 kilowatt hour battery modules. So they sit within a metal framing that sits onto this this wall plate. And then in this big box, it's literally just the front cover, and that just lifts on afterwards and bolts in.
Makes it look all nice.
Yeah, and has the little eclipse and everything that Sonnen's kind of famous for its blue eclipse, and sort of is the circle sort of logo, if you like, on all the boxes. So, so yeah.
Iron Man, his chest.
It's what?
I was thinking it looks like Iron Man.
It does a bit, yeah, actually, yeah. You never know. Could have been the inspiration.
Great. So we just get this in and
so that we need to get this assembled now, and then once that's assembled, we can get it onto the wall and start putting the framing in and start piecing it all together.
Cool.
Right, so this is the top. So the power unit basically sits here, so that, well, it sits here, because that part screws to the wall, and then we've got this cavity here where all the cables come down. So when you mounted all this, what you can do, if say you had a new build, for example, you could mount this on this backplate onto the wall, and then just anywhere within this space bring all your cables into. So you can effectively have no cables on show, because you can bring them all back entry. Then they pop through these different grommets here, and plug into the bottom of the power unit, and the power unit just sits on top. So they've really tried to make it so that you can do it easily without having any trunkings and cables. If you had like a plastered wall or a new build, or a renovation or something where the customer really didn't want to see any cables at all.
Because it's such a beautiful looking unit that you could just literally have it in the hallway or something as you come in. If there's no cables going to it, it's just like a nice looking white box. We had one customer actually who we were dealing with you about a Sonnen battery, and he wanted it specifically in the hallway because he wanted it to be like a talking piece for visitors, when they come in, like, what's this? And then he could explain to them about his renewable home and everything that he had, which is quite cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so we'll lie this down and we'll get the feet on it and get everything else bolted together. So there's some little feet there, they just need screwing into those white plastic feet there.
Okay.
Tight for room in here, aren't we, a bit? So let's have a little look at those feet. You take your knuckles off. Just gotta put this on the wall now.
I feel like I've forgotten how to use power tools, so I'm going to have a little practice today, because it's nice to actually have an opportunity to be on the tools again for once. See if I know how to do this still. I've still got it. I haven't lost it yet.
Keep it pushed back whilst you're doing it if you can, because it can start walking when you tighten it up. These here are what the cover hangs on. So we're tightening these up. Everything's got the little earth lugs, earth washers, should I say, like the serrated edges, so that all this metalwork is earthed. And then we've got the actual shelves to put in, which are going to carry the batteries. So that's what I'll do now whilst you're tightening those up.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a 5.5 kilowatt hour module. This one comes with these nice little handles as well, and all the connections are down this side. So when we get the power unit on, which we'll do shortly, all the cables come from this inside bit back up and plug into the bottom of the power meter. This one doesn't actually directly link to the next module power wise like the Eco 9 batteries do. Each battery is plugged directly into the power unit. So if you had another battery unit that didn't have a power unit, that just had racks of batteries, if you wanted more than 11 kilowatt hours, then the battery cables would come in and plug directly into the power unit. And I think one of the reasons for that is it's a lot harder to make a mistake on that, rather than on the Eco 9s where you had to physically plug the batteries in a certain way, I assume that they had a lot more problems with people not doing them putting them in correctly. Whereas this, it's literally battery 1, battery 2, battery 3, battery 4, and that's it really. So it's a little bit more foolproof than maybe the Eco 9 was.
So if we wanted to add another unit here, could we put another unit with 3 of these battery modules in, all connected to the one?
So you'd be able to have another 2 onto this power unit.
Yeah.
It's got 4 ports.
Okay.
But yeah, so those DC cables and the communication cables would come round and into this power unit. So we'd probably put some trunking or something like that to link it, but it would be exactly the same cabinet. There's certainly a way to do it, it just all depends on where the customer wanted the actual battery.
Nice.
There we are. I think what we'll do next is we'll get the AC cabling in and the communication cables and the internet cable, just whilst we've got this good access, rather than putting the power unit on and then struggling to get our cables sort of fished down and through these grommets.
This is my lunch, made with love by my dear wife. So we've got today, I've got a bit of mozzarella. Oh no, it's an egg. That tricked me. I thought that was mozzarella, but it's not. It's boiled eggs, ham, rocket, cheddar. It's very English today. There's no mozzarella or parma, jamon di Parma or anything like that.
I don't know why people think we wouldn't get on building sites.
And then we've got a little bit of olive oil and balsamic vinegar because you can't have a salad without it. So we are your typical rough tradesman.
I don't even know what it's on about. I don't recognise half.
Do you know what
the
this
things in
is? This is like, let's do a bit of salad B-roll here. As I'm about to eat my lovely lunch, what did you make for yourself today, Cory?
I got a pasta pot from Sainsbury's petrol station this morning and I ate it earlier. I couldn't eat that. I can't mix meat. Meat and animals that wouldn't live together in nature, I always find it too weird eating it together because I'm like, I've got a cow and a chicken in my mouth. I'm weird with meat anyway. I don't really eat much.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't eat much. I had an egg mayo sandwich this morning. Yeah. Got one more egg mayo sandwich.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
this is our amazing customer bringing us coffee and tea. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't have that if you gave it to me.
What do people from York have for lunch?
We have the finest cuisine, actually. Yeah, nothing like that. We've got pudding.
Ham, egg, and chips. Yeah. Maybe that could be close.
Gammon and eggs, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's pretty renowned. It's pretty good. Pies. Got loads of pies. But yeah, I'm gonna have my egg mayo sandwich, and you'll be jealous. Probably put it round the cable up here, because as long as it's round that line conductor going down into the actual inverter, then it'll pick up the signal and the amount that it's generating. And then this one here, like I say, we'll join onto this Cat5 that we've ran back to the mains, and then at the other side, I think Cory put a whisker box or a Wago box, where we'll Wago this through and put this around the main incoming supply. Yeah, this is always the tricky one to get onto the DIN rail. You have these little clips here which put a bit of pressure on the DIN rail, so you've actually got to push these on from
and then go on.
And latch on. But that solar one's always a lot easier. I don't know why. It's a proper knuckle rasper. You think you've got it, and then it goes, and you catch your knuckles on that. So you're probably going to catch that on film now. Yeah, like that. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's got it.
Tool of the day is this pass-through RJ45 crimp connector. Basically, the idea is it makes your life easier when it comes to crimping these little glass heads onto data cables, because in the past it's always been really fiddly trying to crimp them properly, but now your life is easier with one of these. This is actually the ideal one, but you can get them from Klein as well. I'll leave a link in the description anyway, tool of the day, but I'll show you how it works. So I'm going to use my little Nipex Ergo strip just to strip the end of this. like that. We'll just peel off the outer sheath. Cut off that because you don't really need that unless you're doing metal connectors. And then what you do, it's really handy on here, it's got the colours. So how I remember it, this is the order of the colours, A or B, right? I always remember it's A is America, B is Britain. So we do the B usually. So you've got dotted orange, dotted green, solid blue, solid green, dotted brown, solid brown. That's for the B configuration, and obviously the A is slightly different. So we'll do that, we'll get those in the right order. So 1 is on this side and 8 is on that side, so you know which way around it needs to do. And what happens, we put this in there, it just goes in, you can feed the wires all the way through, and then you just crimp down and it clamps the glass head onto the cable. So we untwist these, that's that. So you just got to straighten them out, get them nice and straight. That's really the trick with these. That's it. So we get them nice and flat like that. Okay, so I've got one of these pass-through RJ45 glass heads here, and the difference is it's got the little holes along there. So what happens is the wires will pass through those holes, and you've just got to make sure that they're really nice and straight in order for them to line up with all the holes. Sometimes what's good to do is just get have a little cut, like just cut the ends so that they're all kind of lined up. So just do that, and then we'll pass those wires through. There we go, like that. Pretty nice and easy, and you can push it quite far in so that when it crimps these little pins down, this tool crimps the little pins down, it crimps those into the wires, it cuts the ends off, and it crimps this bit down here so that that clamps onto the cable. So all you do then is pass it through there, and then in one fell swoop, 1, 2, 3, there we go. So it's cut those ends off, it's crimped these pins down into the wires, and it's clamped on to the cable, so you've got a really nice solid connection there, and that is just so much easier than doing it in the traditional way.
So last time, if you watched the previous video when I was here, I wired all of this up, installed all of that, and I left that little loop there because I knew I was going to be adding the Sonnen. And what's quite handy is I opened this up and I even had the Wagos sitting in there waiting for me just to plug in. So that's made that a nice painless install. Sometimes a bit of thinking ahead can save you a whole lot of hassle.
Yep. That's it. Yeah.
That is genius. So they're literally just designed just for lifting it into place. And that's
so
it.
we then usually just leave these inside the cabinet, so if this ever needs to come out, which this is the inverter, the brain, basically everything that charges and discharges these two batteries or however many other batteries you have.
Yep.
This is the brain, so if this part dies, it's just a case of grabbing those, lifting it off, putting a new one on. Yeah.
Genius.
So yeah, we'll leave those in place.
Yep. So what's next?
So next, I'm going to start terminating these, which maybe a job you could have a crack at.
Yeah.
So they're going to basically just go into this plug here, just a push connector.
Push fit, nice.
Yeah, so they're going to go into there, and then we've got two RJ45s, which are going to go into here. So we've got internet, which is that one, and then we've got meter, which is this one.
Yeah.
So internet is self-explanatory, that's just getting the unit online. The meter is our little meter which we've got in that board just above you.
Yeah.
And that's the meter that is monitoring the grid and monitoring the solar. And it feeds all that information into this inverter and this brain. So the battery knows if it needs to charge because there's surplus solar and effectively wasted solar going back to the grid, or if it needs to discharge because it can see that power's coming in from the grid and been bought.
Okay, great. I've been practicing with my RJ45 connections now, so I reckon I can do these like a pro.
Very good. battery 1 and battery 2, so battery 1, battery 2. So they just plug in. So this is what I was saying before, where they don't link together power-wise, they just link together BMS-wise.
Yeah.
So you can't really get it wrong because you've got the number of batteries up there. And then we've got last battery. So this goes to X1 on this bottom battery, so number 2. So the last battery you've got in the amount of battery you have. And then the first battery you've got goes to X2 on here. And then we've just got a linking cat cable which goes between the two, and then that links the BMS of all the batteries. And do
they provide those patch cables?
Yeah, everything, all that's provided, and we've got the cables if you had another battery cabinet. Great. So that's another thing that we leave in the cabinet, just so that everything's there. You don't get to do an extension to a unit and then find you haven't got the cables. We can plug that in, and then I can start commissioning it whilst that trunking's going on. I think Cory, before he left, I think he put the CT clamp in for the grid.
It's done,
Yeah, that's great. We're about ready to turn it on. So we've got a little battery button on the side here, so once we've got that AC on, we can press that, and then we see the glow.
Nice.
The glow that we want to see. Quite likely that'll end up going amber, because I've not plugged this internet in, which amber means that we've lost internet. So if I just plug that in temporarily, it'll do firmware update, and it'll also start to balance those two cells, because we don't know how long each of those have been stored. One might be slightly older than the other, and therefore they might have they'll definitely have a slightly different cell voltage in each battery. It'll start to do a full charge, basically, which means that it'll start to charge up and it might start to discharge a little bit, and it tries to balance all the individual cells that module is made of, try and balance all the voltages across all the cells to be pretty much the same. That is what we are hoping for. Okay, so now the battery is on and connected to the internet. We basically go on to find my Sonnen battery whilst we're connected to the same network as the battery, and then that finds the battery, or the number of batteries that are connected to that network. So you can see here we've got the customer's battery serial number on screen. We can then go into the configure assistant. So we've got a couple of different ways we can log in: vendor, installer, service, or user. So we obviously put installer, and then the first password that you ever use is actually on the side of each unit. After that, basically it prompts you to change it. So 8472. Looks like it's let us in.
Looks like it's doing something.
Yes, now it prompts us to do this. Brilliant. So
when we were last here, we installed this MyEnergi Zappi charging point for an electric vehicle, and this has all the integration with the solar and battery storage system, so that you can charge on completely renewable energy from the solar array. So it's really nice, and we've got a CT clamp that measures the input from the battery as well as the solar. It's all integrated into here, so that if they want, they can put it on Eco Plus mode, and it'll just charge the car when there's excess energy from the solar. And I'm not sure how the battery integration works in that, actually. Does it discharge from the battery as well in Eco Plus mode?
So there's different levels, really. There's, I think, avoid drain, avoid charge, limit generation. There's quite a few different combinations that you can do with the batteries. The best one is avoid drain, because of what happens, that's an 11 kilowatt hour unit. The car, I mean, that's a fairly small little smart car, but if you had like the Nissan Leaf I've just got, the 64 kilowatt hours, that is a drop in the ocean to the car. So you don't want the battery to just dump all its energy into the car. You want to use the battery to power your home. So I normally set them to avoid drain, so that the battery doesn't discharge all its energy into the car and effectively not waste it, but usually you're charging your vehicle up with cheap overnight power anyway. So you're better off using the battery during the day. So I always select avoid drain.
Limit to gen, avoid both, avoid drain.
That's it, avoid drain.
Brilliant, okay. That was easy.
Joys of working in the rain. Just like that.
Wow. So do we need to fix that at the bottom or
Yeah, so
something?
there's those last 3 screws that we've got.
Oh yeah.
So we'll just use the little angled ratchet.
So that is it, we're all done. Thanks to Sam for coming all the way
problem.
down to help us out once
Been
again.
good.
It's been really good fun working
been
with
good.
you. And our customer's solar system has now got battery integration, which is going to make even better use of all that solar energy that they're producing on the roof. So it's really exciting. Just started raining as well, so it's perfect timing. But I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, don't forget to join us on the Artisan journey and subscribe to the channel. It really helps if you click the thumbs up button as well and click the notification bell. And head over to Sam's channel as well. I'll leave a link in the description there because Sam does loads of stuff about oval renewables on his Instagram and on his YouTube page too. If you've got any questions, leave them all below in the comments. And if you are a customer who would like solar and battery storage, feel free to get in touch because we can sort you out with a quote. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
Thanks.